Good morning. How are you doing today?
Very good, thanks. How about yourself?
Doing wonderful. Thank you. Where in the world are you?
I'm actually in London.
Oh, okay, great. Well, we're happy to have you deep in the heart of Texas, uh, because this show is so much fun to watch, and a lot of people have really been picking up on it. They're excited to check it out. So you must be excited about the good feedback, and then of course all this awards talk and everything.
Absolutely. I mean, it's always a wonderful thing when it sort of all comes together. I mean, the premise obviously is great. The books are great. We never really know how it's going to turn out, but I just think the writing, the world building, the cast obviously is amazing, and it's one of those things. It's just kind of has gathered momentum and turned out really good, I think.
Yeah, well, a lot of people don't really understand like where, and sometimes the process is different. But where in this did you get it? Did you get to see some of the show, part of the show, rough sketches, or did they just say, "Here's what it's going to look like," and go?
Well, I came on sort of pretty early on, to be honest. I started seeing assemblies of the first episode. Um, I can't remember honestly whether I probably read the script for the first episode, but yeah, I mean, but when I first started seeing stuff, there was no CGI, so it was all quite rough, and which I think in the long run was kind of a good thing because for example, like the scope of the silo and the size of it wasn't sort of apparent. I mean, I knew it was going to be there, but there's something about. I think I might have sort of overcompensated a bit because I thought the silo looked rather small, and but I think that was like a blessing in disguise because I think I maybe in a way started writing music that was bigger than what I was seeing on the screen.
Is it funny to go back? I don't know if you go back. Some people don't go back and watch their, what they've worked on. But if you go back and watch it just as the audience would, does it? Do you ever like? Are you ever hard on yourself and just think, should have done this, or I didn't realize it was going to look like this.
There's always a bit of that, always a bit of
Yeah.
sort of going back and thinking, I should have done that, or if I'd known what came later, then maybe I would have done things differently, that kind of thing. Because I mean, you can only guess so much from the scripts, and but I mean, if I'm honest, I'm really happy with season one. I thought it like because I mentioned the world building because, and I think the music had to be a part of that process. It needed to kind of be somewhat sort of I don't know what the word is, maybe futuristic or dystopian in a way, but at the same time, maybe the heavy lifting that I had to do was to kind of create emotion and make you care about the characters, regardless of this kind of hostile place they live in.
Mhm. Absolutely. What was that first piece of music that you heard in like a movie or a show or on TV or wherever it was that made you just think, this is what I want to do?
It was kind of like an incremental process for me. I think. I mean, I definitely remember going to see like Star Wars as a
Hmm.
kid. Even James Bond. The old Ennio Morricone spaghetti westerns. I grew up in Iceland. There's
Yeah.
one TV station, and you were just hoping that they hadn't gone to some, you know, um, market in Czechoslovakia to buy, material for next winter and hoping to see some good movies and stuff. But I mean, but I did go to the movies, obviously, and little by little, it just sort of, I love movies, I love music, and maybe, if I'm honest, maybe it was sort of Morricone's work in the 80s that really it was probably my age too that I just was like, the Mission, Cinema Paradiso, that kind of thing that sort of made me go, I could see myself doing that.
Yeah. And so now you're there and people are looking up to you and thinking, like, this is what I want to do. And so what kind of advice do you give them?
I give them the advice to remember that there's only one of each one of us on the planet. We're all different. So, I think we all kind of fall into the same trap in the beginning, which is to try to sound like, John Williams at the time, or maybe now it's more Hans Zimmer or whoever, but which is great. It's good education and it's good to build, stand on the shoulders of the masters. But at the end of the day, I encourage people to don't forget to write your own music and kind of be honest and honor your own creativity.
Yeah, well said. So my co-host Drew Pearson, one of our great Dallas Cowboys, went into the Hall of Fame. We're super proud of him. He caught the Hail Mary, and the Hail Mary is now a pop culture term known around the world. But we always like to ask people their Hail Mary moment, which is that moment in your life or career where you just had to go for it and it worked out for you. What do you suppose that was for you?
I think there's been a few, to be honest. But I suppose it was, I guess it was just sort of that crossroads after I was finishing college. And it was sort of like, am I going to go back home or am I going to go to LA and go for it? And I was lucky enough to get this fellowship, sort of like a study program with Mike Post, the legendary TV composer and good friend of mine. And I guess my Hail Mary moment was to go out and hang out with him and just jump into the deep end of the pool.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, the thing is, us creative people are very hard on ourselves sometimes, and we talk about that success mindset that you have to have, whether you're feeling it or not. So, is there something you tell yourself that always keeps you on the right path, even when things are hard?
I think there's a whole lot of factors that come into that. I think experience is a good thing, in the sense that you kind of, it's easy to be disheartened in the beginning, and you're right. I think people, we tend to be incredibly hard on ourselves, but little by little you go through a lot of stuff, you try all kinds of things, and you sort of have you have a few things are going to work, so at least you have that in the as backup. But to be honest, I mean, my main goal these days is to push the envelope and kind of break out of my box of tricks, and you need time to do that, but at the same time, too much time is problematic, because you end up having too much time to think, and so deadlines are really good friends, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. And so you've worked on so many great things, so many great projects and huge projects too. What is the people that ask you about the most that just keeps coming up over and over again?
Oh wow. You know, I worked with Hans Zimmer for a long time, and so I got to, you know, I got to be a part of some legendary projects with him, and also remote control, like that whole sort of ecosystem, the Zimmerverse. People always want to talk about that and ask, how did that work, And I make up tall tales and tell them stories.
Yeah. Well, he's been a joy to be around when we've been around him. So it's great to see a mind like that, and a great person to learn from, right?
Absolutely, he's a legend, and yeah, no, I mean, I think you nailed it. He's just an incredible mind, and being able to sit around the table with him and throw ideas around was the best education I could get.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, what are we going to hear next from you?
Well, today I've been working on a new theme for season 2 of Silo.
Good.
I went to this crazy place in the West Fjords of Iceland. There's an old silo, like, just sitting empty there, and I went with a percussionist, some electronic musicians, and we recorded all kinds of crazy noises. I thought it was appropriate to go to a silo to record for Silo. Seems obvious, but for some reason I didn't think of it for season 1. But it's actually quite extraordinary, sort of what comes out of these fishing trips, as we call them, and so I'm really excited about what's coming up for the next season.
That's great. Well, we've enjoyed the series a lot. We're so glad to know that there's a season 2 coming, and then and really enjoyed the music. So we hope to talk to you again very, very soon about even more great work. And I really appreciate your time today.
Thank you so much.
Okay, wonderful. Thank
Arnie,
you. Bye-bye.
take care. Bye.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.